We are right in the middle of an AI revolution, you know? But with all this incredible power comes a pretty big question. Who's making the rules? Well, that's exactly where AI governance comes in. Today, we're going to demystify the blueprint for the professionals who are tasked with taming this tech, the Artificial Intelligence Governance Professional Certification, or as you'll hear it called, the AIGP. And this right here, this is the question that keeps developers, CEOs, and regulators up at night. Seriously. When an AI system denies someone a loan or influences a hiring decision or gets used in law enforcement, where does the buck stop? Figuring out clear lines of accountability isn't just a nice idea. It's absolutely urgent.
So, why can't we just dust off our old rulebooks for this? Well, it's because AI is a whole different ballgame. We're dealing with black box systems, where the internal logic can be a complete mystery, sometimes even to the people who built them. These things operate on their own, at an incredible scale, and their answers aren't simple yeses or nos. They're probabilistic, meaning they work in shades of likelihood. Our traditional playbooks for risk, they just weren't built for this level of complexity.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the core challenge AI governance faces. Then, we'll look at the AIGP blueprint itself. After that, we'll dig into the foundations and rules, the real bedrock of it all. Then we'll see governance in action, talk about the professional's role in all this, and finally, we'll ask the big question. Are you ready?
So, at the very heart of the AIGP certification is this blueprint, and it's broken down into 4 key domains. You start with the foundations, the what and why of it all. Then you layer on the laws and frameworks, the essential rules of the road. But check this out. Look at the last 2 sections. They're almost perfectly split between creating the AI and actually using it in the real world. That balance is so important. It shows this certification isn't just about theory. It's about hands-on, practical governance across the entire AI lifecycle.
All right, let's dive into that first part, foundations and rules. Because before you can build anything that lasts, you need a solid foundation, right? So here, we're looking at the core principles and policies that anchor every single effective AI governance program.
These are the absolute non-negotiables for responsible AI. I mean, principles like fairness and safety, that's a given. But think about transparency for a second. How do you make a black box system explain its decisions in a way that a human can actually understand? Or what about accountability? Who is really responsible when a system acting on its own makes a mistake? These are the really tough questions that good governance frameworks are designed to help us answer.
Okay, so how do you take those big principles we just saw and actually put them into practice? Well, that's where a framework like this one from NIST comes in. It gives you a structured, repeatable process. You start by governing. That means creating a culture that's serious about risk. Then you map out the specific context, you measure the potential risks, and finally, you manage those risks with direct action. It's a continuous loop designed to tame the wild uncertainty that can come with AI.
Now, if you look at actual regulations, the EU AI Act has this really powerful model. What's so smart about it is that it's not a one-size-fits-all hammer. Instead, it uses a risk-based approach. So some things, like government social scoring, are just flat-out banned. High-risk stuff, like AI and hiring, faces super strict rules. But lower-risk tools, like a simple chatbot, they just need to be transparent and tell you you're talking to a bot. The key takeaway is simple and brilliant. The level of governance has to match the level of potential harm.
All right, on to Section 4, Governance in Action. We've got the principles, we've got the playbooks. Now, let's see how they're actually applied out there in the real world, from the very first line of code to the moment an AI goes live.
A really common mistake is treating governance like it's just the final checkbox you tick before you launch something. But it's not a one-time event, it's a continuous life cycle. It starts at the very beginning, assessing if you should even use AI for a specific task. It follows the data, it governs how the model is built and deployed, and this is crucial, it doesn't stop there. It requires constant monitoring and maintenance long after the system is out in the wild.
Now, this is a brilliant distinction that the AIGP makes. It separates the people who build the AI from the organizations that use it. On one side, you have the developers, and they're focused on stuff like testing for bias while they're creating the model. On the other side, you have the deployers, the users, and they're responsible for things like vetting third-party vendors and monitoring how the AI performs out in the real world. It's a shared responsibility, and you absolutely need both sides of this coin for true accountability.
So, we have the principles, we have the frameworks, we have the life cycle. That brings us to Section 5, the professional's role. Who is the person responsible for pulling all of these threads together? What does it really take to master this blueprint?
This quote from the IAP, that's the organization that created the certification, it just cuts right to the chase. The AIGP isn't about memorizing a bunch of abstract theories. It's built from the ground up to certify that a professional knows what to do and has the skills to actually get it done.
The best way to think of an AI governance pro is as a unique kind of hybrid. They're part strategist, part compliance expert, and part translator. They write the policies, they navigate the super complex legal landscape, and they manage risk. But maybe, just maybe, the most important thing they do is act as the bridge between the legal, the tech, and the business teams. They are the ones who create a culture where responsible innovation doesn't just happen, it actually thrives.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 6. Are you ready? It's time to see about putting all this knowledge to the test.
The AIGP exam boils all of this down to 100 multiple-choice questions. It really is the final step to prove you've mastered the blueprint and that you're ready to take on the huge responsibilities of an AI governance professional. At the end of the day, as AI continues to just completely reshape our world, it desperately needs a blueprint for how to do it responsibly. The AIGP, well, it provides that blueprint. So the only question left is, who's going to step up and be the architect?